Inbounds it here to Delvin Barnstable. Barnstable gets across half court. 2.7 seconds left. He puts up the three. It's no good. Rebound to Braden Poole. The Raiders come away with it. The Purple Raiders come away with the victory. 83-79. Mount Union coming away victorious. Talk to him, Colin. Talk to him, Colin.
Not done yet. That's exactly what I like to hear.
As the Raiders come away victorious, 83-79. What a game here tonight. Mount Union advances to their first national championship in school history.
Five down, one to go. For the first time in school history, the Mount Union men's basketball team finds themselves in the national championship game, where they will face off tonight against the Christopher Newport Captains. Hello everyone, my name is Jacob Buttar, and we are previewing tonight's matchup between your Mount Union Purple Raiders and the Christopher Newport Captains, with a national championship on the line. Both Mount Union and Christopher Newport making their first appearances in their school's history in the national championship game, and both are looking for their first ever national title crown. Without further ado, let's take a look at how both teams have gotten to this point throughout the NCAA tournament. First, taking a look at Christopher Newport, the Captains opened up their NCAA tournament play against the Farmingdale State Rams in Hampton-Sydney, Virginia. And in that game, Christopher Newport edged out Farmingdale by a final score of 61-60, as it took a comeback from double digits for the Captains to win their first round matchup. Christopher Newport trailed by 10 at the half before outscoring Farmingdale State 39-28 in the second half to edge out the Rams in the 1-point victory, as Trey Barber led the way for Christopher Newport with 19 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks in the victory, while John Hines added 14 points and 6 rebounds for Christopher Newport, as the Captains shot just 3 for 20 from the 3-point line, but they used the glass to their advantage down low in the paint, as the team scored 34 points in the paint compared to just 22 points in the paint for Farmingdale State, as the Captains survive and advance to the second round. In the Captains' second round matchup, they defeated the hosts, the Hampton-Sydney Tigers, by a score of 72-59, as in that victory, Christopher Newport was led by Rodney Graves, who had 19 points off the bench for the Captains to go along with 7 rebounds and 4 3-pointers in the process, while John Hines finished with 18 points in the victory, and Trey Barber had a double-double with 15 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 blocks, as the Captains used their defense to their advantage, as they held Hampton-Sydney to just 31% shooting overall from the floor and 20% from the 3-point line, as it was a back-and-forth affair early, but Christopher Newport pulled away in the second half, outscoring Hampton-Sydney 44-35. Christopher Newport would return home to host the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, where they would face up against the Mary Hardin-Baylor Crusaders in the Sweet 16. In that game, Christopher Newport came out victorious 72-60, as in the victory, once again, John Hines had a strong performance, leading the team in scoring with 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 steals, while Ty Henderson had 15 points for the Captains, and Trey Barber finished with a near double-double at 12 points and 9 rebounds, as the rebounds were the differential in this game, as Christopher Newport out-rebounded the Crusaders 48-35 in the process, and also as well, the defense for Christopher Newport came to life again, as they forced Mary Hardin-Baylor into 16 turnovers, scoring 23 points off those turnovers. In their Elite 8 matchup against the Wheaton Thunder, Christopher Newport cruised throughout the majority of the contest before surviving a late Wheaton run to hold on and win their Elite 8 matchup 76-70 to advance back to the Final Four. As in the victory, the Captains led by as many as 24 points and led wire to wire in the victory, before a late Wheaton run cut the deficit down to its final margin of 6. Matthew Brody led the scoring for the Captains with 19 points and 6 rebounds in the victory, while Ty Henderson and Trey Barber each added 16 points for Christopher Newport, as the Captains shot 50% overall from the floor to advance back to their third Final Four appearance in school history. And lastly, in their Final Four matchup against the Swarthmore Garnet, it was once again Christopher Newport coming from behind to defeat Swarthmore by a final score of 69-66 to advance to their first national championship game appearance in school history. as in the victory, Christopher Newport outscored Swarthmore 43-36 in the second half and held the Garnet to just 31% shooting overall from the floor in their second half to make their comeback possible, as the captains were led in scoring by John Hines, who finished with 22 points and 8 rebounds, while Trey Barber finished with 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocks to lead the captains into the national championship game. And now taking a look at your Mount Union Purple Raiders, the Raiders open up their NCAA tournament play with a first-round victory over the Anderson Ravens by a final score of 73-65 right here in Alliance, Ohio, as Christian Parker led the way for the Raiders in the victory with 22 points and 16 rebounds. He was followed closely behind by Colin Gurley, who finished with 20 points, 5 assists, and 3 3-pointers in the victory, while Darrell Newsome added 18 points and 4 3-pointers for Mount Union, as the Raiders would struggle from the free throw line in this one, shooting just 10 for 21 from the line, good for a 48% clip, but they made up for that with points in the paint, as Mount Union outscored Anderson in the paint 40-28 in the victory. In their second round matchup, the Mount Union Purple Raiders cruised to a 90-66 victory over the Lancaster Bible Chargers, as in that victory, once again, Christian Parker led the way in scoring with 22 points and 4 blocks for the Purple Raiders, while Jeffrey Mansfield stuffed the stat sheet with 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists in the victory, and Colin Gurley finished with a double-double, 16 points and 10 rebounds to go along with 5 assists as well for the Purple Raiders, as Mount Union would knock down 11 3-pointers in the victory and out-rebound the Chargers 50-36 on the glass. The Raiders started off slow in their Sweet 16 matchup against the North Park Vikings, but turned it on late in the first half and never looked back, as Mount Union advanced to their first ever Elite 8 appearance in school history with a 102-85 victory over North Park. The Raiders would trail by 11 in the early stages in this game, but Mount Union would outscore North Park by 20 for the remainder of the first half to take a 9-point lead into halftime and would just grow the lead from there. Jeffrey Mansfield led the scoring here tonight for the Purple Raiders with 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists, while Christian Parker added 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 blocks for the Purple Raiders, and Colin Gurley had 16 points and 3 3-pointers for the Purple Raiders, as Mount Union shot 54% overall from the floor and 45% from the three-point line. In Mount Union's first ever Elite 8 appearance, the Raiders would lead wire to wire to defeat the Wisconsin Oshkosh Titans 78-67 to advance to their first ever Final Four appearance in school history. As in the matchup, Christian Parker led the way for the Raiders with 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 blocks, while Jeffrey Mansfield added 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists for the Purple Raiders, as Mount Union never trailed in the contest and held the Titans to just 36% shooting overall from the floor. Mount Union also out-rebounded Oshkosh in this game 46-41 and came away with 7 blocks in the victory. And lastly, in the school's first ever Final Four appearance, it was a comeback for the ages for the Purple Raiders as they clinched a spot in the national championship game with an 83-79 victory over the Wisconsin Whitewater Warhawks. In the victory, Mount Union trailed by as many as 20 points in this matchup, including a 13-point halftime deficit, before the Purple Raiders would outscore Wisconsin Whitewater 55-38 in the second half. In the victory, Christian Parker led the way with 29 points and 11 rebounds, while Jeffrey Mansfield finished with 20 points and 8 rebounds and shot an incredible 16 for 18 from the free throw line, while Braden Poole added 11 points and 12 rebounds for the Purple Raiders. Mount Union would shoot just 35% overall from the floor and 1 for 18 from the three-point line, but they would out-rebound the Warhawks 50-39 and would hold the Warhawks to just 34% shooting from the floor in the second half to complete the comeback and clinch a spot in their first ever national championship game. Both teams will be competing for their first ever national championship in school history with a lot of momentum on their side. Both Mount Union and Christopher Newport come into tonight's matchup with 14 straight victories, and only one team will come away with that 15th straight win and a national championship crown. Congratulations to both these squads for making it this far, and WRMU would like to wish the Mount Union Purple Raiders the best of luck in their quest for the national championship game. Make sure to stay tuned here with us all night on 91.1 WRMU as we bring you coverage live from Fort Wayne, Indiana, as the Mount Union Purple Raiders do battle with the Christopher Newport Captains for the national championship.